In February of 1937, Kichiro Toyota, with a D, announced that he would be transitioning Toyota Automatic Loom Works from, well, looms, to Toyota Motor Corporation, making automobiles.
Welcome back to the shop, Not So Mini RC. Today we are looking at a Not So Mini RC. This is a 10 scale. This is the new FMS FCX10P for Pro LC80 Toyota Land Cruiser. This thing is awesome. We already showed the straight axle version, which is a brushed straight axle version that's very bare bones, not a lot of features. It's meant to be kind of an entry level or for somebody who wants a bare bones truck. It's an awesome truck. We've got a whole video on it. You can check it out. It's going to be over here. And this guy is the newest version, very similar to the K5 Blazer. Let's go ahead and take a look real quick. Let's look at this guy real quick. Look at how beautiful that thing is. It's only offered in one color, but look at all these awesome features. It's packed full of awesome features, guys. And it looks fantastic. This guy's gonna match our LC80 FCX18. Same color scheme, freaking awesome. And yeah, this guy's on portals like the K5. It's got front wheel drive, rear wheel drive only if you want instead of dig. We'll go through all that stuff, but definitely gonna be a cool rig for sure. Can't wait to show it. Brushless, guys, brushless. Alrighty, ladies and gents, here she is. This thing is awesome. The paint is absolutely gorgeous. I love all the details on it. We'll run through all that stuff. Let's see what comes in the box first. We've got our transmitter, obviously, and we'll go through this. This is one of the better RTR transmitters out there. So cool to see them using this again. This is the same transmitter that's on the FCX10 K5, the Blazer, and it's awesome. And we'll go over this guy here in a little bit. We've also got a bag of goodies here. Looks like we come with an awesome front bumper here. We've got this installed on the other LC80. I don't know if we're going to install it on here. Maybe we will, maybe we won't, just to make it different than the previous LC80, but very cool bumper. I love that it includes that along with all these goodies, some light buckets, fog lights, daytime running lights, and then a hat for our driver here. We also have some license plate stickers. Very cool. I'm still sad. I pointed this out last time. These Colorado plates just aren't green. They're supposed to be green, but they're not green. They're like black. They should be that color. Sad, sad, sad. But still happy there are license plates included, and especially a Colorado license plate. Can't hate on that too much. What else do we have? Looks like we have some replacement side panel strips here. Oh, these are okay. Looks like these are stickers, and then these are actual moldings. So the original LC80 came with these moldings already installed. Looks like they're giving us the option to install them if we'd like. They kind of have more of a chrome look to them. I don't know if you can tell. And these guys are more just a sticker. They're not protruding at all. They're nice and flat. These guys are going to protrude a little bit and give it like an actual dimensional molding, which would be very cool. I bet I know why. The original one kind of they peeled off a little. We'll show that later when we compare, but they do kind of start to pop off if you don't tape them really good, and maybe that's why they went ahead and included these separate, so you could do it if you want. Glue them on there with some actual good adhesive. And then some stickers. Some awesome stickers. 404. Page cannot be found. I'm glad they include stickers. We always love stickers. That's everything, though. And then the manual, of course. Right here. And this guy is pretty thick. It's pretty comprehensive. It's got the full exploded diagrams in there. It's been updated for the FCX10P. There are some amended pages here. You can see they kind of got some sticker over them. It's because it's got a different ESC in there because this guy is brushless, and they probably updated that at the end or missed it when they copied over from the previous FCX10 portal version. But yeah, it is updated, so very cool. Tons of good information in there. You definitely want to check that out. I'll go ahead and throw you some quick specs on this guy, and we'll put an image up as well. It is a 325 millimeter wheelbase with a total length of 572 millimeters. We have an approach angle of about 51 degrees and a departure of about 42 degrees. And then she sits about 76 millimeters of ground clearance between the bottom of the truck and the ground here. That's not going to be obviously including your diffs and all that good stuff. But some more overview on this guy. Again, it is the LC80 FCX10P. Some places it says Pro, some say Performance. It just depends on where you're looking. But the P is what matters, and that's going to be a brushless system, which is awesome. It's also going to have a lot of the same stuff as the K5. It does have a new upgraded servo, so we're going to check that out. It's a 25 kilogram digital servo, and from what I hear, it is upgraded beyond what the very first K5 had, which there were some issues with that servo, so I'm glad to hear that they addressed that. Should be a much better servo. Also, again, the brushless motor with an independent ESC. We'll dive into that. And then it's got a switchable 2-wheel versus 4-wheel. And the original K5 had front wheel or dig. So they switched out the dig for rear wheel drive. I guess just because a lot more people wanted rear wheel drive than wanted dig, but you can switch it back over to dig if you want to be able to have a dig function. So that's super awesome. Also, front and rear diff lockers, just like the K5. The 2-speed transmission, which comes in all the FCX10s, whether it's the K5 or the original LC80. But then this guy has portals, whereas the original LC80 was straight axles. Again, we'll show them. So definitely cool to see a kind of mix between the original K5 with portals and all the cool features on this awesome remote, and then the LC80, which is a very awesome, body and awesome looking truck, but they had given it a more simple kind of outfitting just to make it a little bit easier for newer people, or to simplify it so they have less problem areas, and then come back and say, okay, now we're going to go ahead and offer it for those that want all those awesome features. I love that they've been able to do that. I love that the body is different as well. It's not just the same body slapped on the K5 chassis and axles essentially with the brushless. It's like it's different than the other two, which is awesome. It's not just the same but rehashed. It's actually got updates and changes that neither of the other original two have. So they just keep moving forward, keep growing, and keep improving their product line, which makes me super happy to see. I just noticed these tires are not the same original tires that either of the other two came with. These are the Batrazzi, basically the upgraded tires that Batrazzi sells. Looks like they're coming stock on this truck. That's freaking awesome. These tires were fantastic. We put them on the Blazer and they seem to perform really well. So awesome to see these as the stock tires. That's freaking sweet. All right, let's go ahead and open this guy up. We'll get a little bit more into the nitty gritty. We'll also power it up and show you kind of some of the features. And yeah. So one of the awesome updates that the original LC80 got were these awesome body clips. You just twist them and this guy pops right off. Super simple, no issues, super easy. The original LC80 K5 also had this awesome feature where it had the magnet lights. So all your lighting system goes through these magnets, and you don't have to worry about messing with wires or anything. They just power right through there, and your whole body gets lit up where any lights are, which is awesome. The light controller also has other light features, so if you wanted to add some extra lights, do some other stuff, you would be able to plug right into that light controller right there. So super cool to see. They keep that. Obviously, you don't want to see that change because it's an awesome feature with the magnets. That was one of the things that really attracted me to the original LC80. Here's our interior. It's a nice light Lexan interior with some awesome detail, by the way. I don't know if you can see in there. But you can see there's a little bit of detail in the dash there. Even the center console. The guy needs painted up, that's for sure. But, pretty awesome to see the detail in there. Even got the back seats. Very cool. And the back area here where you can load up some goodies. You would have to pull the interior out to get access to that stuff, but super awesome. And even our fog lights up here, our light bar is going to light up. So we've got lights on our light bar, headlights, as well as taillights. And we'll go through all that stuff when we power it up. Here's that underneath. We'll start right here with our battery. We're running on an XT60 plug here, which is awesome. And it goes to this SL50 Predator 2 to 3S brushless system. It's going to be awesome. It's got a 6-volt BEC, 3 amps. There's our receiver, which is awesome. Like I said, there's a bunch of extra outputs on there and whatnot. And most of it runs through the light controller that's part of the body. You do have to have a specific receiver for that light controller to work. So just keep that in mind. If you end up trying to swap receivers, you'll lose a lot of your light function. But it is a pretty awesome transmitter as it is. So you shouldn't have to swap receiver and transmitter. Here's our motor. Look at that beast. It's an Outrunner, which is awesome. Predator motor. It's the 3541 size, and it's a 1500 kV motor. Feels like it's going to be super smooth. It feels like it's got some weight to that can. Pretty awesome. Here's all of our servos. So we've got servos for our shifting, our transmission, first and second gear, servo for switching between 2-wheel and 4-wheel, or front and rear and all 4. And then we got servos over here as well for our diff lockers, and front and rear diff lockers are independent servos. So you can lock the front only or lock the rear only, however you want to do it, and then keep the others open. So that's super awesome for when you're out trailing. You can have open diffs and have good turning and not worry about rolling over as much at higher speeds. But then when you want to have some technical crawling, you're able to lock those diffs up and get some real nice slow crawling in. It's going to be pretty awesome. We're set up on 4 links all the way, no Y-link or anything like that. Some awesome oil-filled shocks. They feel really good. Again, we're on portals with all metal gears and parts. Same with the transmission. Everything's metal. It looks like they updated this here by adding some of the diff locker covers. So right here, there's like the switch that it's a little lever that basically, I'll show you on the other trucks, but it's the lever to lock your diffs. It's kind of exposed. So now we've got some brass down here covering that up, which is actually awesome because it gives us some extra weight down low as well, about as low as you can get. The only thing you could do better would be to put brass knuckles on, which we did ironically, we did a full upgrade video showing all the different Endura parts that Endura offers for this platform. And we were trying to do it on the original LC80, which is straight axles. So unfortunately we had, brass portal covers and portal housings and knuckles and all that kind of stuff that we could not put on the LC80, so we ended up putting it on the K5 Blazer. But ironically, we could have thrown it all on this guy. It's just we didn't know it was coming yet. So either way, that video has a ton of awesome upgrades for this if you want to see what upgrades are out there, because there's definitely some good upgrades out there. Oh, look at that. Our skid has a nice little metal cover on there. I like that as well. That is super cool. What else we got? Again, metal links. Our drive shaft is plastic, but the drive shaft ends are actually metal, so that's awesome. Metal links here, servo on axle. It is not a servo on chassis setup, so that's going to help you with performance as well. Extra weight down on the axle versus up on the chassis. It's a little bit less scale, but that's okay. I prefer it on the axle anyway. I'm not really a huge fan of servo on chassis unless I'm going for a real scale look. So this definitely helps with performance. Very awesome. Like I said, these Omni clips are just so good. You'll really appreciate those when you start to use them. It's just so easy to pop the body off. Yeah, our nice precipice tires here. They're 40 by 15.5 by 16.5. Some pretty good feeling compounds. They have foams in there. These bead locks, they're plastic bead locks, but at least they're not glue-ons or anything crazy like that. So if you want to swap out wheels and use these same tires, you can, or vice versa. You want some ultralight wheels and throw different tires on, you'll be able to swap out your tires as well and keep these same wheels if you like. I do like the wheels. I just kind of wish they had a little bit of detail in them, but that's for us to do, right? Go through and add some chrome popping on there, maybe on the lug nuts in there, on the hubcap. What else we got? I mean, this thing's packed full of features, and you really got to kind of see it working. And so maybe we'll go ahead and power it up real quick here. I think that's pretty much all the basics for the overview. Yeah. All right. Our battery compartment here, dimensions wise. Well, here we got it listed online at 140 by 47 by 40 without the receiver. But here, let's measure it. Oh no, it looks like 140 with the receiver, even 145 maybe with the receiver in there. And then our width, looking right at 48-ish, 47 is what they listed at, but looks like you could probably do 48. 47.5 is probably safer. And then I guess depth they're saying is only 40, but you can really kind of go as deep as the body will let you if you have an interior. Your interior is going to be over that, but again, it says about 40 millimeters. So pretty much a 2 to 3S 5,000 milliamp battery will work. Obviously, if you're running 2S, you can probably go like 5,500 or even 6,000. As long as it fits the width and length, you should be good. We have these new Gens Aces that should fit in here perfect. The only problem is they're a different connector, so we'll have to use an adapter, but these Gens Ace 3Ss should be awesome. Let's see how they fit. Oh yeah, perfect. Perfect. Just need an adapter, or when you order your Gens Ace batteries, get them with the XT60. We have these because we were using them in a different truck. We were using them in the FMS Ridge Racer, the U4 Ridge Racer basher. It's like a 7th scale. That thing's freaking crazy. And it has these plugs, so that's why we've got these guys. But let's go ahead and get our converter here, our adapter. There we go. Bam. That should be perfect. Transmitter does take 4 AAAs. One thing that's also cool about these transmitters, you can run a 2S LiPo in here if you'd like, which is awesome. Basically uses the red JST plug right there. You can just drop that in there if the battery fits, and then you can just run a LiPo, and it gives you a low voltage cutoff on here and warning if your transmitter starts to go low so you don't ruin your battery. Very cool that that is an option as well. Again, I'm loving this transmitter on the other truck. We use it on a K5, like I said. and I felt no need to upgrade. Just wish there was a multi-model version of this. It would be so cool to be able to do a multi-model, like digital screen. Someday maybe FlySky will do something awesome like that, where we can bind all this awesome stuff into a multi-model. We can, be able to bind all the receivers, the RTR receivers that they have, because they have a ton that this will bind to, even the 4 channels for some of the older, or not older, but the smaller trucks, like the little FCX24s and FCX18s. This will actually bind to those as well. So it'd be cool to have a multi-model kind of version of this. So cool. Anyway, all right, so we have 4 AAAs in there. And yeah, let's go ahead and power up. I'm going to go ahead and power up. Whenever I power up an RTR for the very first time, I always try to make sure it's not sitting on the table, just in case the trims are messed up or something happens in shipping or quality control, they forget to check. We make sure that, what is this? Hold on. There's a zip tie in there. Must be from when we took it out of the box. Go ahead and power it on, just that way it doesn't run off the table, just in case something's wrong. No, we seem like we're good. Ooh. Huh, nice. It's gonna have some really good slow crawl, especially in that low gear. Like it's gonna be bonkers. Nice. I also really appreciate how little slop and play there is with portal axles. Usually there's quite a bit of slop with portal axles, and there's a little bit here, but it's not crazy at all. Like, I think a lot of that's going right into that transmission. And remember, this transmission's got so many features, which also introduces more play, but there's very little play in there. Man, this is going to be so good. I love it. So our channel 4 is going to switch our transmission, right, from first to second. Then our channel 6, front wheel drive only, or all forward or rear only. So that's awesome. Channel 3, I don't remember what channel 3 does. I think it might be part of the lights, and I think channel 5 is part of the lights. We've got up here our channel 7, which is going to be our front lockers and rear lockers. So you can see them switch here. Okay. So again, lockers are, this is unlocked. You can see the wheels spin the opposite direction. The tires go the opposite direction. And if you give it a little bit of throttle, you're able to hold it, right? So that's good for going fast. And if you lock it, now this rear end is going to be locked together. But our front will be open, and then lock our front. Super awesome. Channel 9 and channel 10, I think those are just extra channels. 10 is a button, and 9 is a knob. Now I know on the original FCX10 K5 Blazer, you were able to adjust your drag brake here on your channel 11. But that is not going to be the case with this guy. Drag brake is going to be adjusted through your dip switches here. And we'll go through the dip switches here in a little bit. We also have our steering reverse and throttle reverse. That's pretty standard. So definitely something to keep in mind if you're having any kind of issues with your shift happening. You're able to adjust that here. So that's going to be there. Now there are ways to go into this and adjust a whole bunch of other stuff, but this is again without going into different modes to adjust trims on the other servos. But you can do it, and I go deep into that in the FCX10 video. So if you want to check out the FCX10 video for the K5, I go super deep into all that, and that's where I'd recommend checking this stuff out. Again, this is going to be exactly the same as that, with the exception of how you adjust your drag brake, which is going to be through the dip switches. We also have our steering trim and dual rate. So steering trim here, dual rate there. Again, a lot of times on these guys, the dual rate can be turned up a little bit for your steering. Just make sure that you're not over committing your servo. Like that. Got a little jumping. That's over committing. So we're going to go ahead and back off our servo dual rate for our steering a little bit. That way we're not kind of, our CVDs aren't being pushed too far. Okay, and then again, throttle trim and throttle dual rate here. Trim here, dual rate there. And it was up all the way out of the box. So that's pretty awesome. Let's go ahead and throw the body on real quick so we can check out those lights. And with these awesome body mounts, you're able to just literally drop it on, and there's the lights for us. So we do have some brake lights, forward brake. Actually, looks like they're set up as reverse lights right now. Well, yeah, double tap. We have to hit them a second time to get the brake light to pop up. Fog lights, headlights. Turn it all on with this switch here. And channel 3 is not doing anything. I don't think it's actually used. Let's see if we turn off our lights. Do our brake/reverse lights work? Yep. Same thing there. And I think on this lights controller in there, you're able to swap the plugs around very easily to make that an actual straight up reverse versus a brake. Because it's set as reverse right now, but again, that's if you have your remote set up to forward, brake, reverse. So it's the second click will give you the reverse lights. But I think you can swap it over to a just straight up brake light. That way when you go forward, brake, or forward reverse single click, it'll light that guy up, and we'll look at that here in a little bit. I do believe we have turn signals here. Yep, turn signals front and back, and I don't think there's any way to turn that off on the remote. So that's another one where you can change it in the plugs on the light controller. Let's go ahead and look at it real quick. All right, so you can see on the light controller we actually have a brake right there and a back. So if we swap that light plug here from brake to back, now we should have brake lights as soon as we hit reverse. And then you can see there also we've got our signals left and right. You can probably pull those guys out and not have to worry about them being on. There's also a daytime running light. Now I'm not sure, you can probably, I'm not sure what that one's doing. Unfortunately, you wouldn't be able to put both signals on there, but we can try one and just see what happens. All right, so we went ahead and moved our left to our DR, our daytime running lights. So let's see what that does. I'm kind of curious. You could always then splice in your other signal into that same one. You would have to do some cutting and soldering or whatever, splicing of the wires, but at least we'll see what that DRL is. And there we go. So looks like our DRL, daytime running lights, are just keeping those signals on. Kind of hard to see, but it is lit up there. Oh, and look at that. It's actually a 3 position. So the daytime running lights will come on if you go halfway, which is awesome. There it is in the front, daytime running light on. But then, how's our reverse working there? Yep. So reverse now works, or brakes, however you want to look at it. And then if you turn it on all the way, you can get your headlights, your fog lights. Now again, we still have the signal hooked up. So you'll either, like I said, you'll have to solder them together, splice them together, or maybe make an adapter, a Y adapter that takes them both and puts them into the daytime running lights. But I think that would be an awesome option. That would be something cool if they included just a Y adapter so you could swap it from turn signals to daytime running lights. Do that. That would be awesome. On the next iteration, guys, FMS, on the next iteration, give us a Y splitter for that light so we can get rid of these signals. Very cool. All right, so that's awesome. So good to know. We're definitely going to do that because otherwise there's nothing that uses that intermediate, whatever, the center of that 3 channel there, or 3 position. Yeah, I don't know what that center position would be for because, again, nothing uses it. Oh, you know what you could do if you really wanted to? If this is on a separate light than the headlights, you could actually run this, which I think is part of the headlights, but you could run this into your daytime running lights and then you could have that turn on when you're halfway and then headlights. Anyway, I'm just glad we have the options. Very cool. I just realized I didn't go over how awesomely detailed the body is. I mean, you can see it, but we'll just point stuff out. This is a chrome Toyota logo. Again, totally licensed truck. Window wipers that are hard molded plastic. I've actually seen people take some micro servos and make these things work, or a little motor in there and actually make these guys work, which was wild that USDE seen that. Our snorkel here, hard plastic snorkel, obviously our awesome rack. We've got, I kind of feel like this should be colored. I wish they would color those. It's supposed to be a side marker, or at least put like a LC80 sticker or even an FMS sticker just for the detail. Hard molded plastic door handles, These sliders, the fenders are hard plastic. Very cool. Again, our rack is awesome with the ladder in the back, license plate holder, another piece of chrome sticker. Again, the light buckets are just super detailed, really well done. And then this, we already talked about this side molding here. But yeah, even the bumper, it's got a hitch receiver, but there's not a lot holding onto that. So I don't know about that as far as being a trailer hitch, but there's a receiver port there. Front bumper, again, one of the clean front bumpers. And if you want to get hardcore off-road, boom, throw this guy on there. Super easy conversion. But yeah, awesome details. Real glass in the mirrors, which is freaking cool. They're not just a sticker, it's actually glass. You can see because there's depth. Very good. All right, so earlier I talked about being able to adjust your drag brake and whatnot, and it's looking like what's in the manual actually doesn't match what we have here. I don't know why, but I do know that these 4, 5, and 6 dip switches are going to be reverses for your servos. So if you flip 4, that's going to flip your servo, which that's our shift servo. It's going to be channel 4 here. So now it's lit up when we're in low and not lit up in high. And then if we switch it, we're in low and then lit up in high, or vice versa. You know what I mean? So channel 5 or dip switch 5 and 6 are going to be our 2 diff lockers. So if you want to switch those from being locked is on, which is what they currently are, you can switch them both, and now unlocked has the lights on. Okay. All right. So it's just a way to switch your servos, reverse the servos. So 4, 5, and 6 are servos flips. 1, 2, and 3, no idea. They don't seem to do anything. I believe those are actually for the 2-in-1 combo receiver, just like the K5 Blazer has. It's a 2-in-1 combo. Now, I do know that there's going to be a Bluetooth module that's going to be available very, very soon, if not already, that you can plug into this guy and adjust the settings on the ESC, just like any other aftermarket ESC, brushless ESC. So that'll be cool. You'll be able to pick that up from FMS and do Bluetooth on the fly. Well, I don't know if it's on the fly, but Bluetooth adjustments off of your phone. I do wish they still had the power button right here. There used to be a switch. That's where our switch was. Now it's inside, so you have to remove the body. We might relocate our switch just so it's right there, because there is a hole already in the fender. So yeah, we'll take a look at that as well. Where's our switch right now? All the way up here. So we might just pop this guy off and move it to right there. Make a lot more sense. I don't know why they didn't do that in the first place. I'm gonna do that right now. See, just like this. Can I even stick it like this? Bet you can even fit it. Maybe, maybe not. Hold on, let's see. Actually, I'm just gonna throw it in there like this. Even with a double-sided sticky tape, should still be sticky enough. Just go ahead and put it in there, and here we go. Now we can reach up in there, turn it off. Nice. Perfect, perfect. All right, let's go ahead and compare it to the other 2 models, just to kind of show you, some of the differences and so you can visually see it. All right, so here's the original straight axle LC80, and I'll be honest, I was kind of expecting this guy to be sitting much higher looking, but it doesn't really look like it sits that much higher. It is a little bit higher. You can see when we have full droop or full extension here in our suspension. Looks a little bit more. I can try to measure it here for you real quick. Tire diameters are going to be a little different though, so hold on, let's look. Like this tire is going to be 120 millimeters, and this guy, they're about the same. This tire actually seems like it's a little bit bigger. Just barely. 122. Yeah, they're about the same. 120 millimeters, 122 millimeters. Either way, when we have full extension here, let's call it 32 millimeters. And then this guy, again, letting both sides come down. It's going to be about 36. So about a 4 millimeter difference. But you don't really see it. But when you look underneath, you can see a huge difference between the pumpkin and the ground on the portals versus the straight axle. So, I mean, you can see that. That's pretty significant. A ton more clearance. Now, interestingly enough, look at this. The fender lines. It actually sits lower. I think they've got softer springs in there is what's going on. So let's lift them both up. Oh, yeah, we get a little bit higher on the portal guy. before the tires start to lift. Not a ton, but a little. Again, probably about 3 to 5 millimeters. But look at those axles. Look at the difference on those axles. Portals sit so much higher. Now, it's interesting that they gave this guy much softer springs. Am I preloaded on? Oh, I'm preloaded on this guy. That's why I have a heavy preload. Look at that. You can see it. You can see I preloaded it down pretty heavily because of all of our gear on top. So that's what's going on there. We have all this gear. Anyway, you get the idea. The height difference that the portals bring. It's not overly significant, but when you talk about the actual diff covers here, yeah, huge difference. You can also see our huge difference in wheels and tires here. Again, these were the FMS Super Marshers, and now we have the Brushless Precipices. These guys are labeled as 4.6 by 1.9s, and these guys are 40 by 15.5, 16.5, probably the width there. But yeah, we'll put the conversion down below. But I do think I like these Brushless. They feel pretty sticky. These are also good. These worked really well. I mean, you can check it out in our deep dive video. They gripped, you know. So yeah, I think it's just a matter of opinion on the looks. The compounds are probably very, very similar. They feel very similar. Again, these are worn in. These are brand new, but lugs are definitely more aggressive on the Pro version. But yeah. And then here's our K5 with our awesome Make It RC interior. Interior is so good. We got a video on that as well. Definitely check that out if you're looking for some awesome interiors for this K5, if you've got one. This one's also very upgraded and modded. We've got the aluminum Injora, got some wheels and tires, some Brushless Precipices that we got aftermarket with the wheels and tires as part of the, they had like a deal from FRC where if you bought the truck, you got wheels and tires and some other stuff. And then we've got a whole bunch of just like brass upgrades from Injora, skid plate here and stuff like that. So we even have a winch servo in here. So we've got an actual winch. And we did a video showing that as well if you want to check that out. And we've upgraded our servo because this original K5 came with not the best servo and it kind of went out fairly quickly. But this new guy is a totally different servo and is going to be much, much more beastly. I can feel it. So this truck also had a very different clip system. You can see here the body clips. I thought it was fine, but a lot of YouTubers were having some major issues. Basically just pull these two clips and then this thing will push right out. Simple as that. We also have a video showing, again, it's easier when I'm not in front of the camera, but you just push the two clips and lift up and it comes right off. You can also modify the rear so that it's held mostly by the magnets. And you kind of clip off the two pieces here on the body. You just basically trim those off, drumlet off, and then the magnets hold the rear on. And that's how our other body is. We have two bodies for this guy because we absolutely devastated the original one. Well, I guess not devastated, but we broke the original one. So now we have like our Shelf Queen body and our beat 'em up body. You can see this truck's been kind of abused. The whole front end was destroyed and cracked. It's all shoe-gooed in there. Kind of holding that all together. Same over here. This was all destroyed. The whole thing was all like in pieces. So I got it all glued together. It looks pretty good. And then even our rear here on this side. Look at that guy. That's all shoe goo. It's fake. We shoe gooed it and rebuilt it because we lost all the pieces after the tumble off the mountain. So again, we just built it up with like a shoe goo skin. It's like Bondo for RC. It's freaking awesome. And then I Sharpied it because I'm lazy. But yeah, this is kind of our beat 'em up body when we know we're going to go crawl it and roll around. If we're just going to drive around on the street and go to RC car shows, we use this guy. Anyway, let's look under the hood and compare. Even the K5 though, this thing had so much great detail in it. It's so good. Yeah, it didn't come with the interior, but they do make interiors for it. And the FRC has them, and again, Make It RC has them. Here's the original FCX10 that came with all the goodies. This is the K5, so it's up on portals. It's got the 2-speed. It's got rear dig, front wheel drive, all-wheel drive versus rear wheel drive, front wheel drive, all-wheel drive. So you trade the dig for the rear wheel, but you can swap either one either way. So if you want dig in this one, you can put dig in this one. If you want front wheel, rear wheel, and all wheel in this one, you can do that here. We have our diff lockers here and here, so same exact thing, front and rear diff lockers. You can see that our body mount system right here is a lot more bulky. Both this LC80 and the straight axle LC80 both use the same system, which is unfortunate, but also it's a much better system, but it's unfortunate because you lose the winch mount. And you can see we had a winch mount here. You can mount it this way or flipped where it's underneath. So that's unfortunate that we no longer have a place to mount any kind of winch if we wanted to. At least at the body mount point, you'd have to mount it back in here somewhere and then run your winch line up. Which is fine. You know, you do that on a lot of different trucks. But this latch system is definitely better than this latch system. I did like this one, but I think a lot of people prefer this one. It's just so much easier to put it on. You literally just drop it on, turn the thing, pop it off. It's super simple. You can see we have the same amount of clearance here. All this is pretty much the same up in here. And we upgraded our servo on this guy. Obviously, we're running the brushed motor here and the brushless motor here. That gives us a separate ESC and receiver. So this one's running a 2-in-1 combo ESC receiver for brushed, and the light controller is built in the body, same as this one where the light controller is on the body. But yeah, you run all your servos and everything to the 2-in-1 combo, whereas here you can swap out a receiver if you wanted to, or upgrade your ESC if you wanted to, and you don't have to swap everything. Whereas with this, if you want to upgrade either, you've got to swap it all out. Everything else is pretty much the same as far as like the chassis is concerned. Our fenders, our inner fenders here are much wider for the K5 versus the LC80. One thing I did notice, which is awesome, is on this inner fender here, you can see that our line for our diff locker runs through the inner fender here and then comes down right here over the top of the chassis rail and over to our diff locker, which is awesome because the previous version had a major issue where that line ran underneath. Okay, and we're probably going to swap it over to the top if there's enough line there, but I don't know if you can see this because it runs underneath the chassis rail. The inside of the chassis rail here rubs, and you can eventually rub through that line and hit the braided portion, or you know, the metal sleeve. You can kind of see it. It's really hard to see, but there you go. But it's in there and it's rubbed, and you can actually see the metal sleeving inside there. Just from it rubbing on the chassis. So awesome that they rerouted that. That's a good thing for sure. The rear didn't need it. The rears are pretty much the same. They run through this little brace right here. Runs through and comes through the brace. On this guy, it's the same thing except it comes through the other side of the brace. I don't know if they found that to give it less stress or less chances of getting caught on things, but that is a slight difference. It just runs through this side of the brace versus this side of the brace. Either way, it's going to work just fine. Obviously, this guy we mentioned earlier has those covers for the diff lockers, the little lever that's in there that's going to help protect those from getting hit by rocks and whatnot. Also gives you a little bit of nice brass down low, whereas on the original K5, that stuff is completely exposed right here. And you can see we've got our little Endura sliders. Again, this one's been upgraded, so sorry it's not a direct comparison, but and there you go. You can kind of see your diff locker lever and whatnot right here. And again, that can get hit on rocks. This is going to kind of help protect it a little bit, but these brass ones that come on this guy, way, way better for protecting it completely and how it encases and covers up that piece, which is awesome that it comes with that. So I love that. Everything else, though, pretty much the same. You know, just some upgrades, you know, brushless, new servo, diff locker covers, fixed line routing for the diff lockers. And the only, I guess, downgrade, if you want to call it a downgrade, is our loss of servo mount for a winch, which, again, isn't really a downgrade when you consider you get a much better body latch system. All right? And here's the original LC80, the base model, versus the Pro, or FCX10P. And you can see their tire diameters are basically the exact same here when I really get them right next to each other. You can see I went ahead and preloaded up all the shocks, so it's sitting all the way fully extended, and you can see it doesn't really sit much higher at all. Basically the same. Almost makes me wonder if they're running a shorter shock. They look like they're the exact same shocks. Again, I think just the difference that the portals are giving you compared, you know, when it comes to the actual body height. And again, you can see the difference just a little bit. Bumper sits a little higher. Fenders sit just a little higher. But again, not much, not compared to the amount of clearance you get at the diff, which is a crazy amount of difference. So huge benefit there. As far as slop in the drivetrain, here, let's go ahead and look. Not too bad. Not too bad. They're about the same, really. So I think a lot of the slop's going to be coming from the transmission itself. We do have different drive shafts on this guy. Not that I think those are going to play into it much. These are upgraded Endura drive shafts. We also have a brass skid here to get us some weight down low. If you saw our video on this guy, we tumbled it pretty bad, pretty far. And I attribute that to having a really top-heavy truck because I had all that gear on top. The LC80 is a pretty top-heavy truck anyway, so adding some weight's probably not a horrible idea on these guys, at least some up front and down low, at least the diff covers, you know, these covers here, which is nice that these come with them, like I said, so you don't have to worry about that, but at least get some, you know, brass diff cover, maybe brass knuckles. Endura does make brass knuckles, inners and outers, and rear portal covers that are in brass for the portal kind of FCX10 axles, but the straight axle kind of FCX10 axles do not have those upgrades. I'm hoping that Endura will come out with some brass knuckles for the straight axle, because I do like the straight axle truck a lot. I just wish there was more support for these axles. The gearing's probably going to be different in these. I'm not totally sure. I don't know the specs on them, but what we're going to do is we're going to run them side by side. I'll do a video of a certain distance running each of the 3 trucks just to show you they're all still running the stock drivetrain. So stock motor, transmission, ESC, all that stuff is still totally stock on all 3 trucks. So it'll give us a good speed comparison. So we'll definitely check that out. But again, just wanted to show you guys these things side by side. Everything is pretty much the same, except again, on this guy, we don't have any of the servos for any of the lockers or front wheel, rear wheel, dig, none of that. Only the shift servo on the original FCX10 LC80. And you can see on the axles here, it's got a little hole and basically the mounting points for if you did want to upgrade these. The center portion of these axle housings are the same for the portal and the straight axle. The only thing that's different are the knuckles and the caps that go on the end, you know, your portal housings. But other than that, everything else is going to be the same. So that's nice. One issue that I've been hearing a lot of, we haven't experienced it, but I have seen it a lot in the groups, is that the straight axle version likes to snap axles. The CVDs, the axles in there tend to be a weak point on the straight axles, whereas the portals, I've never seen anybody break any of the drive line on these. Maybe a drive shaft, you know, maybe. But even then, I can't honestly recall seeing anybody posting about breaking anything in here, but definitely nothing on the axles. So definitely rock solid when you come to the portals. When compared to the straight axle. So hopefully on the next iteration of straight axles, FMS will be able to beef that up, or maybe even Endura will come out with some upgraded straight axle shafts and CVDs that are a little bit beefier that can, you know, withstand some of the abuse that we're throwing at these guys. Now, again, I've kind of beat mine pretty bad, never gotten in real binds and just throw it and, you know, full throttle. But if you're going to do that, you're probably going to break an axle shaft. But that goes for a lot of RTR RCs for sure. Like, you can't just expect to bind it up, full throttle it, and then not break something. So like I said, I've had no problem, but I have seen that be one of the more common issues here on the straight axle. Anyway, all right, I think we're good. I don't think there's much else to talk about as far as comparing. Let's go ahead and run them side by side to compare speeds. So there you have it, guys. There's the top speed as well as the slowest slow crawl. We just used the throttle trimmed it up just enough to make it go and then let the camera run. You can see that this guy at low speed is just insane. The amount of resolution in the throttle, super smooth. And yeah, just it was going 20 times faster, twice as fast. It was 20x versus the other two were at 10x, and it was still just creeping so much slower. I mean, it barely looked like it was moving. And you could even tell in one of them, I was just like, towards the end, let's just go and start the next test, because clearly it's moving super slow. As far as the high end speed goes, it's on portals, so it's going to be a little bit slower than it's going to be geared down, right? So it's going to have more torque, so it should be slower than the straight axle, which makes sense. But the FCX10 K5 was known for being geared really high, almost too high. So I think they tried to gear this guy down, make it a little bit more controllable at high speeds, but give us even better at low end. If you want to go faster, just throw a little bit bigger pinion in there. You'll be able to get a little bit a little bit more top end out of it. But I don't know. It seems fine. We'll go ahead and run it here in a minute. We're out in the snow through some forests. It's gonna be awesome, and definitely check that out. Seems plenty fast to me definitely for trailing, and rock crawling you don't need to be super fast. You just need wheel speed to kind of bump it up and stuff, and it's got that. So definitely dig in the smoothness of the brushless. Super cool. And yeah, let's go run it for real now.
That motor hums, tires bite the ground, through the snow where no one's around. Frost on the branches, whispering low, as I carve my path where the cold winds blow. Tracks behind me, fading fast, frozen silence, shadows cast. Through the trees, a lonely glow, an old shed buried in the snow. Rolling deep where the wild winds go. FCX10 pushing through the icy road. Snowflakes dancing, headlights on. Just me and the trail till the snow is gone. FMS is timeless, time standing still. That old shed watching from the hill. Memories echo, lost in the past. Toyota tires keep turning, built to last. Tracks behind me, fading fast, frozen silence, shadows cast. Through the trees, a lonely glow, no shed buried in the snow. Rolling deep where the wild winds go. FCX10 pushing through the icy road. Snowflakes dancing, headlights on. Just me and the trail till the snow is gone. Throttle down, hear the brushless sing. Heartbeat steady with the crunch of spring. I'll be back when the seasons change, but for now I own this frozen range. LC80 runs, tires bite the ground, through the snow where no one's around. One last look, then I roll on, chasing the trail to the break of dawn.
And there we have it. I hope you enjoyed the running video. This thing is a blast, super fun, super smooth throttle, got plenty of power and torque, low end. It's awesome. Definitely deserving of that P in the FCX10 P for pro or performance. Awesome truck. Yeah, I can't wait to get some upgrades on this guy. I don't know how many upgrades we're gonna do or what we're gonna do yet, but I'm sure it'll happen at some point. And like I said, there's a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi module that is coming out soon. So when that comes, we'll probably go ahead and show you how to program this guy with that Bluetooth module. And that'll really help you kind of gear it in exactly where you want it, which will be nice. But an awesome truck, and I hope you guys, like I said, have enjoyed the video. I know it's been a long one, so why don't you go ahead and put Toyota down in the comments below if you watch the whole video. It's an interesting little fact at the beginning about how Toyota got its start in the automotive industry, and I appreciate you watching the whole video. You can also become a channel member if you want to help support the channel. All these guys get to see videos before anybody else without ads. They also get other perks, so definitely check that stuff out. Down somewhere down there, there's a way to join or at least see what levels of membership we're offering. And then also make sure you join our Facebook group for the FCX10 specifically. I'll put a link down in the description, and then obviously a link to purchase this thing if you want to snag one up yourself. It's definitely a cool rig. And then yeah, get out there and do something awesome. Build a car, build a course, build a community. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, and hit that notification bell. All those things to help support channels you like and videos that you think are good for other people to see. And yeah, then smash it, crash it, and bash it, but don't break the expensive parts. Peace.